That's awesome. Okay. So your parents did a phenomenal job, just like was that a big thing for your parents? I mean, coming from the humble beginnings of your mom, literally as an 11-year-old fetching water, how did she translate that work ethic into you guys? Was that just like growing up, like, hey, never complain, always grind? Like, what was her message to you guys?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, my mom never really had a message to us. She wasn't the talker; she was the doer. So she would show us through her actions that, hey, this is how you succeed in life. So she was when she first came to the country with my dad, she was a maid at some like motels and stuff, and she knew that that wasn't going to be her life for the rest of life. Like she was like, look, even though I'm coming from Nigeria over here, I don't have anything, and I'm a maid right now. Like this is not where life's going to end. So she decided to go get her education, became a nurse, started working really hard as a nurse. And, she could have easily worked, 3 12-hour shifts a week or something like that, or whatever, just a normal thing. She decided, no, I'm going to do a lot more than that so I can make some money. So she decided to work 7 days a week, all nights, 12 hours each one of those days, and overtime whenever they allowed her to do overtime. And she did that 7 days a week, every single day of the year, every year for many, many years. And then eventually in 97, decided now she had saved up a bunch of money because she was working so hard. Now she was going to start her own business, and she started a party supply store. And she didn't quit her nursing job. So she still worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But then on the other 12 hours, she would spend about 8 or 9 of those hours basically running the store each day. That only left about 3 to 4 hours of sleep each day. And she did it 7 days a week for she had that store for at least, I would say 4 years or so before finally she was like, hey, like I need to like chill out or I'm not going to live long. So the store went well. The store actually did really well. She just finally got to the point where she's like, hey, I've saved up enough. Now it's time to jump into some other stuff. So then she went back and got some more education. And then I think rised up a little bit more in her nursing job. And but she showed us through her actions that, hey, work hard work, you actually get somewhere. My dad was the same way too. He worked full-time jobs, had a business on the side too, did all that stuff. And together, they just showed us like, hey, like, this is how you succeed. They didn't have to tell us, they didn't have to sit down and say, this is what you got to do. They just made sure we never got off path. So they were very strict. Made sure we always made good grades, and if we didn't, they took things away from us. And when I say took things away, I missed half of my football year in 8th grade because I had a C on a report card. So some parents let their kids have C's, and it's all good. For me, a C meant no football, and I missed half my season in 8th grade year. That really woke me up.
Wow. Yeah. So what's crazy about that, and what I love about it too, is I think certainly, so obviously your parents work hard and you work very hard. And I think certainly it wouldn't be completely out of left field to say, man, it's unfair that your mom had to work that much. Like, it's not fair that she had to work a job 12 hours a day and then ran a business on the side for 8 or 9 hours a day. Like, that's not fair. And it just goes back to like, man, sometimes the hand you're dealt isn't considered fair. And sometimes your starting line is way below somebody else's starting line, but you can either complain about it or you can push through it. And that's exactly what your parents did. And not that I'm commanding anyone to go out and, work 20 hours a day and sleep 4. I don't necessarily believe that that's the answer for everyone, but I think your story, your parents' story, and my story proves that if you want it bad enough, you will find a way. And maybe that means you're working around the clock, but if that's what it takes to get to where your dreams are, I mean, that's what I wasn't as intense as your mom was, but when I first started off in my sales career, I was working 17 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I was just outworking everyone. And, some people think that's crazy, and maybe it is, but after 9 months, I was making, 120,000 as a 22-year-old who dropped out of college. And because of that, I was able to start buying real estate. And that's where things really took off for me. So, man, I think, I'm so happy we're doing this podcast today because like it's difficult. I love having guests on that share the same message, right? Because it's difficult to preach this stuff and have people say, oh, well, it's easy for you because you're a millionaire. It's easy for you because you made all this money. And it's like, well, I didn't start out that way. I was raised by a single mom, and for most people watching this don't actually know, but you've been real with me, so I'm gonna be real with you. My own father was a wife beater and a child molester. So I'll let everybody connect the dots on that. And whatever money my mom had saved, he spent it all on drugs and gambling, and then he left. And he was in charge of paying the mortgage in their relationship, which I didn't know till later. They were able to buy some small, house. It was probably a crappy house, but at least they owned it. But he was lying to her. He was lying to my mom about paying the mortgage every month. Instead, he was using it for drugs. And so after he left, my mom started getting letters about foreclosures. So we ended up losing the house. And we had to, we were scrambling around to not be homeless. And my mom somehow got us a rental. But, she taught me such a good work ethic. And, I dropped out of college when I was 22. I became a millionaire 3 years later. And it's just, you have to grind. It might not be fair. And, but you have to do it. You have to run your own race. And I think you are a huge proof of that.
Yep. So and that's, man, that's a crazy story. That's rough. That is not easy. I'm super blessed that I didn't have to come from that. I'm not saying that our childhood was completely just pretty the whole time. I mean, my parents had their issues too, but luckily they stayed together. Thankfully, thank God, faith. But every family goes through issues, and yours, that's tough. That is not easy at all. But you did not let that define you. Les Brown has this amazing quote. I don't know if you listen to Les Brown at all, but he said, never let someone's opinion of you become your reality. Most people will look at you and look at your family and look at your life and be like, oh yeah, you're never going to make it because of that. You could, because of this and that, you're just going to become this, you're going to become your father or whatever. But you never let anyone's opinion of you become your reality. You knew where you're supposed to be. You had a vision that was given to you. It's in your head. You knew, when you had that vision of where you're supposed to be or who you're supposed to become, that means it's already done. It's actually already done. You just now have to do the actionable steps and have faith and understand that, hey, you are going to get there. As long as you grind every single day, you push every day, you find new, unique ways to try to advance every single day. You get up a little bit earlier than everybody. Even if you're getting up an hour earlier than everybody, well, guess what? All the people you're competing against, if you get up an hour earlier than them, at the end of the year, you're now 365 hours ahead of those people. 2 years later, you're even more and more and more. It's just these little things, and these just little things that you're doing every single day. When people ask, how many push-ups do I got to do to get stronger? As many as it takes. Okay, how many reps do I got to do? As many as necessary. You just got to do as much as it takes. There is no number. There is no set thing. It's not definite. It's indefinite. Whatever it takes, and that's what you did.